Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Cookbook. I'm your host, Iris Goldfeder, and so there's a funny story about today. So Ashley Chamberlain, 2 weeks ago, we were supposed to record this episode, but we had some technical difficulties. Anyway, she would have been the first person that I never met before I did an interview. Well, because we had technical difficulties, we ended up meeting last week, and she's really awesome. However, I can't say that I never met her before. So one of these days that's going to happen, because it was interesting when that was going on. But I digress. And for all of you who know me, I digress a bunch. So I am going to read Ashley's bio and bring her on. So Ashley Chamberlain, a native of Athens, Georgia, and the driving force behind Chamberlain and Good Company. With a master's in business administration and a passion for empowering others, Ashley embarked on her entrepreneurial journey to provide top-notch bookkeeping services while equipping entrepreneurs with the knowledge and tools they need to thrive. Her catchphrase, "Let us mind your book so you can mind your business," which is brilliant, encapsulates her commitment to simplifying financial management and allowing business owners to focus on growth. As a mom of two boys and a wife of a talented musician, we know other talented musicians as well, life is never boring for the Chamberlain family. They are community-rooted and spend as much time as possible helping the city of Louisville become a little better every day. So, without further ado, let's meet Ashley.
Hey.
So, I love your bio, and I love let us mind your book so you can mind your business. I think that's brilliant, and I'm sorry I didn't come up with that. As a marketer, right? It's like, oh, that's like so good. So you were saying how you help the community in Louisville. So why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So a few years ago, I found myself in a position that I just wanted to help our city any way that felt really good for me. And so I really thought about something that maybe I needed years and years ago, and that was the Women and Children's Center. So years and years ago, there was a time where I highly depended on them and their resources. So I went up to them and I said, "How can I help?" And they said, "What can you do?" So for me, it was finance. And at the time, they were like, "Well, we don't really know what to do with that." So we came up with, let's create a program. So we created a financial literacy program. And this is an 8-week program that women can go through, and it teaches them skills, things that you just really should have learned in school, but you didn't. And here you are as a functioning adult, and you don't know how to open a bank account. Most of the time, these women don't have money to open a bank account, but there are other ways to do it. So it's something that we kind of touch on. We talk about credit. We talk about writing checks. The little things that you just wish someone would sit you down and talk to you about it and explain how to do it. So that's a lot of the things that we cover in that greatly gets them a good foundation to get started.
Right. And that's awesome. And I know we talked about this earlier, but, I wish that you were around when I was like 19, because when I was 15, my mom, moved in. My childhood was like a shit show, but, and so I wasn't taught, just the basic skills, right? Managing a checkbook. Mm-hmm. For me, it was like, if I have checks, I have money.
Right.
So, I was just like writing checks thinking, that I had checks until the checks ran out, not until the money ran out, because I didn't understand, like nobody ever taught me that. So I put, money in my account. Like I opened up a checking account. Obviously they gave me, checks and I was writing checks. And then the last check that I wrote was to the local liquor store. And we were in a smaller town on Long Island. And he called me up and he said, your last 2 checks bounced. And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, there's like no money in there. And I'm like, I have like 15 checks left.
I'm good.
He said, come on, like knock it off, And I'm like, no, no, I have like, I can come in and show you, and he knew my aunt and uncle. So he called my aunt up, like what the, was going on. And she was like, oh my God, like they never taught her how to do that. So she took care of all of the fees because I was just writing checks left and right. And she took care of everything and sat me down and said, this is what you do. When you don't do that, this happens. It's called, it bounces. And then they get a fee. And then you get a fee. Right. And then this $35 product is now, $110 product. And it was like, and it still took a little while, right? I mean, and then, we were talking about debit cards, right? They came out with, they were like, yes, I forgot. It was like European American Bank, I think, EAB came out with like these debit cards and we were like, woohoo. But it's not like today where everything is like real time.
Yep.
Back then you would use your card and if you took out $200, $300, $400, you took it out. But then if the money wasn't there, again, I thought if I put the money, and then everyone's like, well, you knew if you had the money in there or not, but I didn't because, I didn't put my money in my bank. Like I would get paid, I would give somebody the check, they would go to the bank. And so I really had no idea. Oh yeah, I had like no idea. Then I started going, I should probably deposit my own checks and start really keeping track of everything because I keep getting into. My aunt was like, "Oh my God, stop! Like, just what are you doing?"
Right.
So finally, I learned, right? Because now it's different. But these are skills that people aren't taught, and they should be. Again, we talked earlier about home economics, but there's no economics in home ec. It's just. How do you sew? How do you cook? How do you iron? Not how do you balance a bank book, a checkbook?
Right.
How do you deposit them? And now it's even easier, right? You don't even have to have cash to open up an account.
You can just open it up online or there's so many different ways now.
So many different ways.
And it's really crazy because even though I had a numbers brain, I've always been the kid that loved math, that loved riddles, that loved all that stuff. When you find yourself in a situation where you're not financially independent. So for myself, it looked like a really toxic relationship where he did all of the finances and I never paid bills. I never had any access to money. So I became so dependent on his knowledge and his responsibilities that, he just took care of it. So for me, I had no idea how to do that stuff. And I was well into my 20s. And a lot of these women are in similar positions. They're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they don't know how to manage their own money. And that is so crucial when it comes to managing a family, managing a household. Even, it generally falls on one person or the other, but both should be aware of how to, because life's really unpredictable. It's even for my husband. I'm obviously the one that handles all of the bills and number stuff, but I have a big old binder and the binder has all of our utilities and numbers and account because in my mind, like, I don't want him to become financially dependent and not have that information in case anything happens. So that program that we created that the women go through is to help them become informed and help their partners become informed. It's not just about them. So, it's really, it's important to know. And if you go online today, if you go on TikTok for 10 minutes, you're going to get a world of information that's going to feel so overwhelming. You think, am I supposed to be saving? Am I supposed to be investing? Am I supposed to be using my debit card? Am I supposed to be using a credit card? So this program just breaks it down to the essentials. It's your home ec that you never got. It is just the bare minimum knowledge. You don't have to invest in a 401k right out the gate. There are a lot of options of how to just get by in a safe, healthy way.
Right. That's awesome. And again, it's so needed. So really kudos to you. And, I applaud you for doing that because, women just, the shelter that I was in was, I'm not going to say their name anymore because they're now an evil entity, but they just got it was a mess. But anyway, they helped me so much, right? And they had this program that, you know, they gave you the tools. So it wasn't just that they housed you, you know, they gave you the tools that you needed to live a, you know, responsible, healthy life. And it took me a couple of times because as smart as I am, you know, it definitely took a couple of times. But when it took, and it was like, oh, and then I always gave back and in many different ways. But like I said, now they're like dead to me, but because the people that built it aren't there anymore, this other corporation took over and they just don't get it. They don't get it. And they did really horrible things to people. So, but anyway, so, but thank God that they were there when I needed them, right? Because, it was pretty heavy. You know, I was homeless, and I remember, I used to sleep on the subways on the Long Island Railroad to stay warm at night, or, you know, whatever. I remember I was on the subway and I had this like bomber coat. Like I was probably the best dressed homeless person, right? I don't know, you know, why, but so I had this like really cool bomber jacket and this watch, and everybody thought I was a cop. They thought I was undercover.
They'll leave you alone.
I mean, honestly, when I was 19, I looked like I was 10. You know, and so whatever. So, and I woke up on the subway one night, and this guy was trying to take my watch off. And I opened up my eye, like he could have killed me. But I opened up my eyes, like, what the hell are you doing? And he like ran away, and I was like, I got to do something, or I'm gonna, you know, end up really bad. So I called this place called the Runaway Youth Hotline, and this woman sent me a cab. And then, you know, the cab took me out to Long Island. And I remember we met at this bar called 21 South. And she said, and all I had was like this like plastic bag, right? A guitar, because I always had a guitar, and my plastic bag. And she said, I'm taking you to a house with nuns. I was raised Jewish. I was like, they're going to kill me. They don't want me there. You know, like all these things. Right? I'm like, oh my God. But it ended up just being really wonderful. And one of the nuns is still, actually two of them are like two of my closest friends to this day. Oh yeah, we just remained really, really close. But it was just one of those things that, you know, so I really love what you're doing, because I was also on the other end of that. And, you know, we're proof, right, that it does get better. Right. It does get better. And it does. So, So,
you know, statistically speaking, they say it takes, I think it was 7 times of trying to leave to actually stay gone. And I used to think, well, that won't be me. Like, that will never be me. Like, I come from a good family. You know, I have great parents. I have divorced parents. So that means I have even more amounts of parents in my life, and they're all great. I've several brothers and sisters, great small town, very close. And then I was in it, and I thought, well, it's not going to take 7 times. Like, that's just crazy. Not me. I'm too smart for that. And then it was me. And the program that I had eventually reached out to when my pride was, you know, no longer an option. I had reached out to a program called Project Safe, and they were phenomenal. But they didn't do the things for me. They just gave me the resources. So they did help with the first few months of rent, you know, getting a new job. It's such a caveat. So you have to have an address to get a job. And then you can't get an address until you have proof of income. And so then when you want so at the time I had a 2-year-old, I wanted to put him in childcare, but I couldn't put him in childcare unless he had an address. And I couldn't get the address unless I had a job. And I couldn't get the job unless I had. So, you know, it's this, it's a really scary place to be. So a program like Project Safe really did save my life. It it helped me. They were a reference check for me. So they helped me get set up with an apartment. They helped me with that first month of rent. I would go to weekly group meetings, and that therapy alone saved my life. And they would watch my kiddo. So an hour, my kiddo would go and play with toys. He thought it was, the best time of the week because he got to play with a bunch of toys that he didn't have. It was really special. And I think, it took me years and years to be able to even go back into a shelter without feeling like, what am I doing here? I can't breathe. And so when I just wanted to give. If it was a financial program, well, I'll write a financial program. It's turned into just sitting at a front desk and watching a camera and clicking a buzzer sometimes. It just, whatever they need, I'm here for it because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that program. So you find what you can do.
Yeah, but that's so awesome. So, here I started, you would have thought that I would have been drawn to the homeless community here, but honestly, for whatever reason, maybe I wasn't ready or whatever, it just didn't speak to me. And then a really dear friend of mine who passed away, which pisses me off, but Marcia Gentry was talking. I went to, I think it was called like the Pursuit of Possibilities or something like that our local YWCA put on. Mm-hmm. And I was there with my friend Michelle, who listens to this. I have two friends, Michelle, who listen to this all the time. So there's Michelle S. and Michelle K. Michelle K is here. And we were at this event, and Marcia got up and she started speaking about this horrific thing that happened to her. And I was slack-jawed. And Michelle looked at me and said, I've known you like 10 years at the time, and I've never seen you speechless. And I was like, I have to do something. Like, I knew that I needed to do something. So I walked up to the director of the domestic violence program, and I said, what can I do? And she was like, well, we have volunteer opportunities. And I was like, no, I want to raise you some money. What can we do? And she was like, oh, So now we have Unmasking Lafayette. It started out as Unmasking Domestic Violence, but we moved it to Unmasking Lafayette because we helped the domestic violence program for, I think, 5 or 6 years. 5 years, something like that, maybe 4 years. And then we decided that there are so many other organizations in town that tackle social issues that need, money and awareness raised for them. So we choose one beneficiary for every 2 years. And it's been great, right? So we did domestic violence, then we did, it's called Hartford House, and Hartford House is an organization that helps kids that have been victims of or witnesses to crimes. And then there was 6 Alarm Peer Support, and that was mental health resources for first responders. And now for the next 2 years, we're going to be doing the Pride Youth Group.
Oh, man, so much good packed in that.
Right. So it's like, I kind of was like, how do I pay it forward? And I had this, have this amazing group of people, my partner in it, Michelle, another Michelle, Michelle Z. So there's Michelle S, Michelle K, Michelle. They're probably listening to this cracking up. But Michelle Z is my partner in Unmasking, and she's the one that keeps everything going. Like, I'm out there raising the money and doing all that, and she's like keeping all the back end straight. Like, and it's just, it feels amazing each time, right? It's like the day of every event, like we do all the work, we send out the letters, we get the sponsorships, we go through all the stress of selling, or sending letters. And like I said, I was recording the ad, today and all this stuff. But the day of, right, it's like when everything is set before everybody gets there, you just kind of like look around and I'm getting goosebumps and just like take it all in. Right. And it's like, and then the night of, it's just like, whoa, we did it again. And it's just
your heart
paying it forward, right? Because there are just there's so many people out there that need help.
Yeah, for
at the end of the day. I mean,
all kinds of ways.
Right. But not everybody steps up to help them.
Right. But
some people actually,
problem.
well, yes. Right. I mean, I remember I was talking to somebody, this is like right before COVID. And they were talking about the homeless center. We have like Lafayette Transitional Housing here. And they were like, in the middle of the winter, when it was like literally, the wind chill 10 below, they're bitching about, the homeless people that are like, hovering in like a vestibule. And it's like, dude, like, where's your heart? Right. Give them money, give them a blanket instead of sitting there complaining about them.
Right.
Clearly, some people just, there's no empathy, right? So,
right.
So luckily, there's people.
That's a hard thing to teach.
You can't teach empathy. You have it or you don't.
Right. And I think I've been I know I've been really lucky that my husband, who also came from fabulous family, I adore his family. We're all very close, that he didn't have a lot of struggle when it came to like worrying about money, worrying about his next meal. So when we met, it was a very, very hard topic. So I had all my defenses up and I was ready to, if he says one thing wrong, I'm out of here. But I wish he would, he was wearing a puka shell necklace when I met him. And I was like, points, out, you're out. And he had I wouldn't say like a bowl cut that kind of looks like your mom cut it, like in the kitchen. But I will say, where he lacked in swag, he made up for in empathy, willingness to learn, and it greatly shows in our little ones. They are just so emotionally mature that they can look at other people that have completely different situations than we do. I mean, my children don't specifically personally know struggle, but they have been taught struggle. So there is a difference between having to know it personally and then knowing it from being taught. Everyone doesn't have what we have. So yes, we go and make homeless kids. We call them our homeless kids. Maybe that's not a right thing to call it, but they're the homeless kids that we put these little bags together and they sit in our car. So if we see someone on the street, it's not the awkward where you're like, don't look at me in the eye, don't roll your window down. It's my little one, can I roll my window down? I'm like, wait. Let me see. Let me see first. It's a very different situation. And that is how you teach the next generation. Instead of, I'm going to overcompensate. I'm going to buy them things that I didn't have. I'm going to have extravagant things because I don't ever want them to feel left out or sad. We can still have a nice life and give to people that don't. And so now we have the homeless kids. We go and we help out at us, whatever we can do, we're in it. And that's how we just try to help our own city first. I think there are a lot of programs that help the country, everyone, but I want us to focus on where we live first, because those are the people we have to look them in the eye, whether we try to avoid them or, drive really quickly past them. It's like, they're human beings there. So that's what we try to do.
I mean, that's awesome. And that's what, we do here with unmasking. My wife works for a corporation, and every Christmas they choose a local, organization, or families, or whatever, and they give. And I think that's what life is about, right? It's like, the fact that the wealth is so misdistributed in this country just blows my mind, because I mean, how greedy do you have to be? It's like, oh my God, you could freaking, like, what do you need? What more do you need? Like we were joking, and I'll go on the record saying I'm a Swiftie. I love Taylor Swift. I think that what she does, she's generous, she's amazing.
She's
my wife, she's like, I've been watching like interviews about, of her, talking. And she's just like, she's brilliant. And she's talented and she's funny. And she doesn't give a shit anymore. Go Taylor. Good for you, right? Like shake it off. I mean, she really does. She's just like, I don't care. But we were laughing because we were like, man, we feel bad for Travis Kelce because what the hell do you get her for her birthday, right? I mean, it's
like it better be a memory because she has everything else.
I mean, oh my goodness. But she does stuff with her wealth. Like she gives, she gives. There are a lot of people out there that just keep it. It's like, you can't take that with you.
Right.
Can't take it with you, so, and that, I try to do everything I can. Well, it was funny. We had it was called, Bands and Brunch, or Brunch and Bands. And, the why is very near and dear to my heart because, we started with, unmasking and everything. And, I'm in a band. So my band was playing, but they needed donations, right? So I paid for the venue, which wasn't cheap. And I really couldn't afford it, but it was like, I really want to do something. So my wife, who is just like hilarious, and she's learned, because this could have turned out differently, but the day after, she said, "I love you," and I went, "Oh my God, what did I do?" Right?
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
And she goes, "You have a big heart. That's one of the main reasons I fell in love with you. Yep. I know you want to help. You're not there yet." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And she goes, "Not that much." And I went, "Oh, sorry." So, but it was, again, it's like, we who aren't gazillion millionaires, right? Give.
Yeah. Right.
We want to give, and you and I, especially, because we've been there. So we are empathetic because we can actually empathize with what is going on.
Right. And giving can look a lot of different ways. People think it's just, for business owners, it's a tax write-off. It's I don't want to spend time doing anything. I'll just give money, which is, okay. Places need money. They need your time. And it also can look as simple as, you're a business owner, so give someone a chance for employment. That was a big reason that I hired, very intentionally, who I hired for my own business. I want to give a chance to those people that feel like, how am I going to get a job and stay home with my kids because I can't afford daycare, or I'm pregnant, and who's going to hire a pregnant person? I've got a skill, but it's people that are sitting and feel like they don't have opportunity to work and they want to. Give those people a chance. Right. It can look a lot of different ways. And that's the big reason when it comes to hiring. And now I will say, I didn't think most of my team would be pregnant at the same time. That was a surprise, but, and it's been okay. Goodness. But I thought, I want to hire this all female team that want to stay home with their kids and feel like there's no jobs out there for them. Wow. Like I said, a lot of them were pregnant at the same time. That was rough, but they're all coming back. So obviously they're really happy and feel like they can have the kind of life they want to have and feel productive at work. So it's helping your community. Isn't just writing a check. It can be. It isn't going and building homes, for the homeless. It can look a lot of different ways. However you feel like you can help, then I just feel like help people, because people need people.
Right. I mean, that's, yeah. And they do, and they need to know that people care. I think that's, a big thing. And the fact that they want to come back to you really speaks tons about you. Right. So,
yeah.
I'm
just very grateful. Yeah.
Yeah. But it does. So, well, we know what made you want to become an entrepreneur, and we know what you would say to somebody thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. What obstacles have you overcome that maybe a seasoned entrepreneur is going through?
I would say every entrepreneur, every employer is eventually going to want to hire. Now, hiring can look a lot of different ways. It can be outsourcing, it can be hiring employees, contractors. But the biggest obstacle that I still learn from is hiring the right person, not just the right role. And for
Right.
me, I have a very specific trade. So we do bookkeeping and accounting for small to medium sized business owners. But sometimes some things can be taught and other things can't. Like the empathy is something that people have or don't.
Right.
For myself, when I was hiring an assistant, I struggled. I had 2 or 3 assistants and I had to keep letting them go. And I had to stop and think, it's a me problem. If it's something that I'm doing because it's not working. And I sat down, I talked to my accounting manager, like, what do we want in a person more than a role? Because the role can be taught, but what kind of person do we want? And that just changed the game completely. I ended up hiring a close friend. It was a family member of hers, and she was younger. She has no accounting experience. She has very little marketing experience, but she had just had a baby and she didn't know what she wanted to be when she grew up. And so I talked to her and I said, what do you like doing? Well, I like, I like being at home with my baby. Okay. What else do you like doing? Well, I really like creating this. And it became my VA position. And she's a rock star at it. And it's because we stopped and thought, what kind of person do we want? Not just what position. And she is learning and taking on more things that I never really expected her to, but it's because she likes to be here and wants to help. And she's going to do whatever she can to make this position the best possible. So that's been a huge learning curve.
And it's true because, you can teach the role, finding the right person is definitely hard. And there, I'm going to say it, there aren't a lot of people out there that really want to put a lot of effort in. Right. So when you find that, grab onto it because you can teach anybody anything for the most part.
Right.
For the most part. Right. I mean, but you can't teach heart and you can't teach empathy. So that's awesome. I think that's pretty cool. So you mentioned that you wanted to talk about, why should I outsource my financial services when I can do it myself?
I get this a lot, and it might be because of the type of industries that we work best with, which is really in construction, general industry is service-based. We can work with everyone, but that is really our jam. And those are the people who are out in the field doing their job every day and then cram it all into the evening hours, or they cram it into the weekend, or their wife, bless their hearts, are doing it for them. And my response always to them is, do you like it? No. Do you wish you had that time back so you can go and do literally anything else? It's always yes. But they're scared that no one can do it like they do it. But the thing that people forget is whatever you're doing can, one, be learned, or two, we can do the exact same thing we do for all other industries just like yours. And so I always try to say, you do not want to be an accountant. I can tell because you are building houses. Stay in your zone of genius and let us thrive in ours. And I promise you, we'll either save you money and we'll most certainly save you time. And it's always a game changer for them. They never realized that anyone could do it like they could.
And that is a big thing. I hired, I didn't know about you, or I probably would have hired you, but I hired a bookkeeper 4 months ago because I've made some big mistakes, like thinking I paid somebody when I didn't, and then I had to pay. It was like a lot of money. And then I realized that I should never be doing my own books. And now I get financial statements and it's like, oh, cool. That's what
this is nice.
That's what below the line is. Okay, cool. So I need to, then I tell people, I need to raise my prices because I never realized what my bottom line was, right? It was like, oh crap, I'm not covering that, and then you feel bad, but it's like at the same time, if you value my services, then you'll understand it. And what I'm doing is looking at it as an annual contract, right? And so if they're signing on, I had one client who signed on actually two who signed on for next year. And I said, this is how much it is for the year. if you pay half up front, I will take off X amount.
Mm.
And then this way you're saving that money.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting, loaded in the beginning.
Sure.
So that's what we did. And also I was working with a coach who changed the way that I look at things. Like instead of looking month to month, it's like annual. This is an annual contract. This is how much, it is. And it changed everything for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
if you focus, I know a lot of people do that. So they look at what they're making every month. And then if they go down the next month, there's something's wrong. I'm doing something wrong. Everything's going to, burn to the ground. Nothing's right. But really, you have to look at it. I always recommend, if you're not an annual type business, quarter by quarter, because you are going to experience some kind of seasonality. All trades that are outside. So landscaping, pest control, all those things, you're going to have a seasonality. It's going to go on the roller coaster, ups and downs. The key part is cash flow management. And if you're not looking at big picture, where were you last quarter? Where were you last year? You don't know what to prepare for. And that's the big key, is when you're in the weeds, when you're the one either cramming it into an evening or cramming it into a weekend, you don't have time to actually process what you're doing. You're just grinding. So having that outside perspective, say, hey, I noticed last quarter, we actually made X amount of dollars more. And I'm curious if maybe we can try some new things this quarter, because normally you're slow according to your books from last year. But let's try these new things. You don't think about I don't even think about those things with my own business, because I don't do my own bookkeeping. Like I have to outsource my own to my employees because I need someone else to look at it in a different way. It's too personal. I'm too close to it,
Right.
So that's the big thing.
I have somebody who does my marketing, who helps me with marketing because I'm too close to it. It's like, I can market the hell out of my clients. The proof is in the pudding, but when it came to me, I was like, how do I, because I hate hubris, right? And so when you have somebody else writing copy that's saying, hey, blah, 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 it's not me writing it. So it's like, okay, I can do that, and I know I'm good at what I do. If I, wasn't, I wouldn't be successful. Right. So we have to have a certain confidence about us, or put it this way, if our clients don't feel that we're confident, they're not going to be working with us. They're going to be like, holy I'm not working with you, right? So, but it was really interesting because when I hired, she's a fractional CMO. When I hired her, I felt almost like I failed. I was like, man, I suck. I have to hire, a marketing person. And she just started laughing. She was like, you know what you need to do. You're just not doing it.
Right.
I'm like, I don't have the time. She's like, exactly. So, okay, fine, I get it.
Yeah.
So the other thing, right? So, I know the answer to this just because I learned this year, but should somebody use a CPA for their bookkeeping?
I'm going to say no, but it's not because I hate CPAs. I myself file taxes for people. So it's not like I don't do it, but I thoroughly believe that you should separate someone who looks at your books every month and someone who files for you quarterly, annually. And it's because it really does help. It's that checks and balances thing. It's helping. If someone missed something on this end, they're going to catch it on the other end. But it's also, if you think about hiring someone to do a remodel in your house, and then the pipes, something in the plumbing goes out, I'm not going to call, the GC that's building the house. I'm going to call a plumber because they specialize in what I need for that job. Bookkeepers, what we do, we are specializing in the day-to-day, the month-to-month. We are working with you on a personal relationship, and we will work with your CPA. We will give them all the reports that they want, all the statements that sound like a foreign language that you're hoping you're going to pull it from QuickBooks because that's what QuickBooks said to do. We're going to be that person, save that time, and we're going to become best friends with your CPA. There's, we work with a lot of CPAs on a referral basis because we work well together. We are a very well-oiled machine.
That's awesome. And I love this question. Can anyone start a business?
Sometimes.
Should anyone start a business? I think it's more like, should anyone?
I'm really going to say no. And here's why. I think being a business owner is one of the greatest and worst jobs on the entire planet. Mm-hmm. There are a lot that come with it. The biggest part is discipline. And sometimes people just don't have that. And that's okay. My side of the family, all of them are W-2 employees. My dad, W-2 employee his entire life, and he loves it. He loves having the security, the stability, health insurance that someone else is paying the big part of. And there's nothing wrong with that. My husband, he drives semi-trucks Monday through Friday, and he loves it. He loves having the time to himself, picking up a paycheck, going home, not worrying about it once he's at home, having a weekend. But for me, that wasn't enough. I needed more.
Right.
My husband's family, they're all business owners, which is interesting. My father-in-law was the first person who hired me as an accountant. And he changed my entire outlook on being a business owner. He is a phenomenal business owner. He's so caring. I just never thought I would be working for someone like that. And it changed my whole trajectory. But his son, he's like, no, I never want to do what my dad does. So it's totally different personalities. My husband has a very creative, very flowy thought process. So he does not want to sit down and talk about anything technical. He wants to just drive and write songs and live his best life. So it's just so different.
Yeah. And it's funny because I kind of have that right brain, left brain thing going, right? Because I write music, I play music, I'm flowy, but I love the technical stuff. Like I love the tech, and it's crazy. I was talking to somebody, this was a couple of months ago, and she's like, "You're like an anomaly." And I said, what do you mean? She goes, "It's not a bad thing." She said, "But you're like the creative. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to sing." And I've sang everything from like standards to blues to, I was in this little thing where we did Broadway songs, and it was with this guy, Ron, and this girl, Valerie. But Ron, sadly has passed, he passed from AIDS, but he would always take the girl's part and I would take the guy's part. And it was just like funny as hell. Like we would do like, "You Don't Bring Me Flowers," and he did Barbara's song, "You Don't Bring Me," and I'd be like, "You don't bring me love songs." So, but so I've always had like that creativity, and I write music and all that. And if you would have told me that I would have owned my own business, like I was afraid to do sales, never mind owning my own business. I was like, I can't take a job where it's commission only. Are you crazy? I need like a salary. And here it is, like years later, and I'm running this, successful business, and I'm in a band, and I'm doing like all of the things. And it's like, to me, it's almost like and so she was just like, it's just so weird because usually you have your right brain people and they do the right brain stuff. And then you have the left brain people. She goes, "But you do it all." But I think that for me, the creativity helps me with my marketing, with my clients, right? Because I'll sit down and like, you have your, you're saying like mine is, if you're not online, you're not an option. But I have other clients where we'll sit down and something will just like come to me. And it's like, "Oh, we need to do this." And they're like, "Oh my God, that's like the best thing ever." And that's the fun part for me. Like all the books shit, I don't want that. I can't, I should never be. One of my clients was laughing. She's a banker. She's like, "You should never be doing your own books." I'm like, "You're not wrong."
You're right.
So that stuff I don't like, but I love the technical stuff. I love like all the different programs. I don't like running them, but I like knowing about them. Right.
Right.
So it's just, it's kind of, it's interesting.
And I actually really get that. And that is a big, I was looking at the list of questions, like, what is your differentiator? And it's so funny because I hardly ever meet anyone that does exactly what you just said, that can use the left and the right side of the brain. Because the longer I've been in business, the more I've realized I want to be creative, but not in a I'm going to write songs, which my husband and I do write together. So that is a huge passion of mine.
That's cool.
But it's, I want to be creative where I want to go and climb up on this branch and I want to look down at your business, big picture, and I want to think a little bit outside the box. When people meet me, they don't think I look like an accountant. And I love that because I want them to think whatever she's doing, it's going to be different because she looks different. You know, when I first started talking to people, which was terrifying, in person, now I have tattoos. I have beautiful nails and colored hair. This is pretty mild for me, but, I didn't wear a collared shirt. I didn't have thick frame glasses and khaki slacks and Sperry shoes. I wanted people to look at me and think, did my accountant just wear a Nirvana shirt to our meeting with the blazer? And then it makes them think something is going to be different and I am here for it. And I think that's using both sides of my brain, just like you do, in a different kind of way.
Right. No, I love that. And it's funny because when I first started the business, I would if I was meeting CEO, right? Because I'm the CEO of and I never thought of that. It was like CEO. But if I was meeting a bank president or a CEO, right, I would be in a suit and I'd be all buttoned up and all that crap. And I mean, I never felt 100% comfortable like that. I'm like, I am jeans. I don't usually wear, flannel. It's freaking cold here today. But, I'll wear a blazer with a t-shirt under it and jeans, right? And either boots or I have these really cool Jordans that I got in my brand color, which was an accident, but they're amazing. And it has all three of my brand colors, the dark blue, the light blue, and the gray. It's
cool.
What are the chances? So that's, how I am. And, when people, the first thing that people, when they want to work with me, the first thing they say, because everybody checks you out, right? Oh, yeah. Everybody checks you out everywhere. And they're like, what drew me to you was how authentic you are. You are real. You don't give a shit about what anybody, thinks. And I care what my clients think, right? But I don't walk around worrying about what other people think of me.
Right.
I can't, because otherwise I would be and I used to, right? I used to. And I was like, oh my God, should I have said that? What do I, now it's I don't care. If you don't like me, you don't have to work with me. And thank you for teaching me that, because I don't want to work with you. Right. So,
And now I know.
100%. But we have that freedom to do that. Not a lot of people do. We were talking about that last night. So I have this show that by the time this comes out, will be out. And it's called Unique Voices. And it's for the LGBTQIA plus business owner. And it's not for them, but it's about them. And it's talking about struggles and obstacles and successes and wins. And it's basically about trying to bridge the gap, to show, all businesses are the same. Whether you're a gay business owner, whether you're a Black business owner, whether you're a Muslim business owner, whether you're a Jewish business ey, whether you're, I don't know, a panda, whatever, you own a business. Although I want to meet the panda that runs their own business. But anyway, but I digress. But really, it's everybody has the same struggles, and we have more in common than we don't. And I'm really trying to drive that. So I'm hoping that the show does that. I think it will, because the people that I've had on have been amazing, and our conversations have been amazing. It's funny to try to pull it, you go down a rabbit hole and then you try to pull it back to business. So it's so let's bring it back to the business piece. And last night was the first episode, and it was really cool because one of my guests was Dr. Erin Baker, and she's non-binary. They are non-binary. See, I did it again. They are non-binary. And I did that at the beginning of the show. I said, Erin, she, and I went, they. But one of the most interesting things for me was that they didn't feel comfortable in an online networking group. They didn't feel safe, or they didn't know if they could be safe.
Right.
And to me, it's like, let's stop this. Let's stop making people feel unsafe. Do you want to feel unsafe walking into a room?
Right.
No.
I don't think anybody wants to feel that.
Nobody does. So stop the shit. Let's just all get along. Yeah.
Let's just find our commonalities versus putting everyone in boxes and finding the differences.
Yes. Instead of looking for those differences, right? Going, okay, what makes you different from me? What makes me better than you? You're not better than anybody. I mean, you're not, right? And I'm not better than anybody. So it is what it is. But I started talking about that for a reason. I forgot why. Can't remember. Anyway.
We went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. But no, I think we were talking about being different, right? And not caring and all that stuff. So I think that's where that kind of came from. You said what your differentiator was, and it's pretty much what mine is, right? So you love to talk about resources and seeking help. Talk a little bit about that.
So a lot of what I'm doing now in this stage of business is more outreach. It's more, let me tell you how to get more information versus just doing it for you. So, there's a lot of people that just aren't ready to work with someone, and that's okay, because you'll know when you're ready or you'll feel it. And so every Wednesday, normally I'll go on Facebook, except for today. Today was special. And I'll do about a 15-minute live, and I'll just talk to the world, I will say, mostly my mom and my husband that get on my lives, and tell them about, tax tips and things that you can do if you don't have a bookkeeper, or things that you should be on the lookout for. 1099s are coming up. It's year end. What do we need to do to get ready? Things like that, just so people feel like they have a safe and educated space that they can ask those questions that they might be embarrassed to ask a CPA, or go and call someone. They can just listen and, oh, okay, I got it. Or send me a message and feel like I'm there to help you. I'm not here to talk down to you or make you feel like you should have known that. You don't need to ask me that question. Like, no, you don't know what you don't know. Just come on, take one piece away, and hopefully you're in a much better place than you were 10 minutes ago.
That's awesome. And you're right. You don't know what you know. And finances are hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you make one mistake, it could end up being like, it's not a couple of $100, not in my business.
Right.
It's like 13, 14 grand. And you're like, oh, shit, where did that, what did I do? Oh,
yeah.
Well, this money came in for that, and I thought that I paid that, but I paid that with that. And it's like, no,
it's
you
a lot to keep up with.
Like, So what we're doing now is where, like, when I get paid for something, that's going in a bucket. I don't even look at it until I get the invoice for it, and then I pay it, and then I can't get in trouble anymore. Because for me, it's like, oh, I have all this money. And it's like, no, you don't, you idiot. But at least it's not like, oh, I have all these checks. So I have come a long way. I just want to
we're learning.
Always a work in progress. But I mean, not everybody is meant to do finances. It takes a special person. I mean, it really does. I have met like so many different financial people this year, and I'm just like in awe, because I remember the first time I saw a financial spreadsheet. This was a few years ago. My business partner at the time was like, okay, you're going to learn this. And I thought it was the coolest thing, because like sheet A was, if you change something on sheet A, B, C, D, E, F change. And it was like, oh my God, that was like the coolest thing. But I had no idea what it meant. And I didn't want to. I was like, my head hurts. It's cool because I love like when things move.
Yeah.
Moving parts. But it was like, I know. So, now, but okay. So, where can people find you? I know you said Facebook, but where else can people find you?
So we have a very beautiful website. not built by me, built by my assistant and ChatGPT and my wonderful marketing team. Chamberlainandgoodcompany.com is where a lot of the resources are. I do show up on Facebook and Instagram personally. Every Wednesday at 5, I do a live. And I really just encourage people to send me a message. Even if you don't know what you want to even ask, sometimes I can ask the right kind of questions and see what you need. And I'm not going to sell you a package that you have no business actually signing up for. We're going to look for what you actually need. So send me a message, send me an email, any type of way on the website or Facebook. Happy to chat.
Awesome. Well, first off, I want to say thank you for being here and taking a lot of time out of your day, because we've had so many freaking technical difficulties. I was like starting to wonder, man, is this meant to be? Because this is like
wild
last time. And then today it was like nothing wanted to work. And I was just like, okay. But so this has been, long, and I really appreciate you taking the time out. And it's great to get to know you better. So, because I know we spoke.
I'm so grateful.
This is, for me, this is a passion project, right? And we don't have any sponsors yet. Hint, hint, we're working on it. But for me, it's a vehicle for people to get out there. And anything that we have talked about today, there is somebody out there that needs to hear something that we said, right? I truly believe that. I didn't, when I first started this, that wasn't my goal. My goal was to talk about entrepreneurship and all of that, but it's evolved, right? Because everybody has a story, and it's about the journey, but it's also, people are going through stuff. People are going through a lot of stuff now. And so if they listen to this podcast and something that we said helps them,
that's it.
To me, that's it. That's the goal. That's the passion.
I love that.
So, and the last question I ask all my guests is, what lights your fire?
A lot of people ask what my why is, especially in the very beginning. They're like, you have to know your why. That's so important. And throughout this whole process has just been family. More than just the family under my roof. It's my team. It's my community. It's people that need help. They're not my family. So my family really just gives me reason to keep going whenever I feel like, okay, everything's not working. I'm just going to burn it all to the ground. I remember there are people depending on me more than just in my household. My team members that are absolutely phenomenal and are like my family. They all depend on me to not burn it down. So here we are today. Just family.
That's amazing. Well, Ashley, thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye. I'll be right back. Everybody, again, thank you so much. I know sometimes you probably listen to this going, what the hell is she talking about? But I appreciate you all hanging in for an hour plus every single time. And I truly hope that, you are getting something out of this, that you do hear something that makes you go, oh, or you have that aha moment. And if you do, tell me about it. Leave it in the comments. Shoot an email to info@thecookbookpodcast.com. I love the letters and the emails and all the things that we're getting now. So thank you so much for that. But, keep them coming. Please share, like, subscribe, download, do all the things. And I said, this is my passion project, and it truly is. I love doing what I do. I get to talk to new, fun people all the time. Today was a great example of that. And I appreciate you all taking the time. And I love you all. You allow me to do what I love. So until next time, go out and find what lights your fire. See ya.